WWE's Monday Night Raw has been really great the last few weeks, and last night was no exception. It was super good and set up a lot of great stories going into this Saturday night main event. And I'm here to tell you all of my thoughts on last night's Monday Night Raw, and I'm also going to break down if Raw should stay 2 hours or go to 3 hours, because it's been quite a while that we've been down to 2 hours now from the 3-hour Raw that we've had for like a decade plus. So sit back, relax, like this video, hit that subscribe button, because now it is time for your Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw started off with Gunther coming out with his World Heavyweight title. He didn't really get to say much before Finn Balor and the Judgment Day came out in tow. Finn basically let it known that he thinks Gunther is messing around too much as World Heavyweight Champion, giving title shots to undeserving people like Dominic, who, hello Finn, he's standing right next to you. And he talks about how he is responsible for Gunther retaining that title in his last few defenses, and that means that because of that, Finn will walk out of Saturday Night Main Event as World Heavyweight Champion. Please let that happen. Gunther then decides to stick the knife pretty deep as he tells Finn that when he won the inaugural Universal title match and how he looked up to Balor at that time, but it faded pretty much instantly when he started cutting corners, taking shortcuts, and hanging out with a bunch of weirdos, as he calls them, in a clubhouse and choosing to play second fiddle to Damian Priest. Ouch. Gunther then goes on to say, as he stands across from him with no respect left, figuratively and looking down on Finn 8 years ago, that he was the best in the world for only one night. But now Gunther's the best in the world, and for thousands of days to come, and his current title reign is proving it. Now, this was, again, a great segment. Gunther, I think, is very underrated on the mic. I feel like he has got more of his flowers from the IWC and people who do this podcasting stuff about him on the mic, because for a long time, he was just known as the guy who can fucking put on a great match with almost anybody in NXT UK, NXT, and then on the main roster. But man, is he so underrated and good on the mic, in my opinion. I know, again, I've said he's gotten a few flowers from more people lately, but I feel like still he's not given enough flowers on just how good he is on the mic, as well as how good he is in the ring. So he just has that total package. So this whole segment was just great. Eventually it led to the Judgment Day climbing up on the apron to try to jump Gunther, but who else but Damian Priest comes out, and he basically wipes the floor with the Judgment Day. He starts taking down JD, Carlito, Dom before he starts going at it with Finn. Finn goes in the ring. He starts going at it with Gunther once Damian gets back in the ring, and Damian tries to go after Finn, who Gunther already had the upper hand on. Gunther takes out Damian. It just turns into an all-out brawl. Eventually, the Judgment Day get the upper hand on both Damian and Gunther, and they start beating down Gunther at the end of the segment with 3 coup de grace while the Judgment Day holds Gunther down to help Finn Balor. But that wasn't all here. Once we came back from commercial break, we come back to the Judgment Day backstage, all happy and high-fiving after what they just did to Gunther and Damian, to Adam Pearce coming up furious of what just happened to his World Heavyweight Champion, stating he already talked to Gunther, and Gunther's agreed to make it a triple threat match since Damian got involved during that whole scuffle. So now we get another Damian Priest title opportunity, which is fine by me. I think he's a great wrestler. Was really excited for Finn getting that one-on-one with Gunther. I think it was a match scheduled prior to COVID for NXT UK, like a takeover, but I think they had, COVID hit, had to cancel it. So I was pretty looking forward to this. I know it's been a long time since that match was initially scheduled, but still, I was really looking forward to this match for the World Heavyweight title. Obviously, it doesn't take away that I still think this is going to be a great match with it now being a triple threat. But let me know down in the comments below. Are you happy that this is now a triple threat match, or did you want to see Finn get that one-on-one title shot against Gunther? Honestly, I'll be honest. I actually thought if this did end up being a one-on-one, that this was going to end up with Damian getting involved anyways, leading to some type of triple threat, since Finn's cost him twice now against Gunther. So I did expect a triple threat out of this. I just didn't expect it to happen at Saturday night's main event. But I think it's going to be great, and I think Gunther's going to retain at Saturday night's main event. Let me know down in the comments what you think is going to happen, what you think of this match being turned into a triple threat. The next thing we get is we have the Final Testament, Akam, Razar, Cross, and The Miz teaming up to take on the Wyatt Six, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, and Uncle Howdy. Initially, I thought this was a 5v5, including Scarlett and Nikki, but when only Scarlett came out and Nikki did not come out with the Final Testament, did I realize that this was an 8-person tag. So a little mess up from me there. I thought that we were going to get some intergender action, which I was actually really hyped for. But this was a really solid 8-person tag. I really thought that we were going to see the Wyatt Six pick up the win here, but we saw them pick up their first ever loss as a group. And that was a little surprising, but they did it what I feel was the correct way. Now, they had a really good match back and forth. Scarlett ends up running interference during this match, which leads to Nikki Cross coming out. She hits a plancha off the commentary desk, taking out Scarlett, thus leading to Howdy catch Karrion Kross and the sister Abigail facelock, but The Miz made the save. But then Paul Ellering with a handful of powder, woof, right in the face of Uncle Howdy. And I was like, what? Are we back to Mr. Fuji here? What the hell is that? Salt? Howdy goes down. He eats Karrion Kross's finish, and Kross and the Final Testament and The Miz pick up the win. I was very surprised that we saw Wyatt 6 eat a loss here. I don't think it hurts them. I really do think that Kross and Final Testament needed something here, and this win was something that they really needed. While there's a really cool story that you could kind of go back to with Karrion Kross, everyone that he's feuded with turning heel essentially over time. You look at the New Day, you look at Drew McIntyre, so on and so forth. There's so many different names out there that he's had little feuds with that have all ended up turning. Shinsuke is another one. And so it makes you wonder what's going to happen with the Wyatt 6 feuding with the Final Testament with that type of little backstory going for the Final Testament. Obviously, this feud is not over with them cheating to get the win over the Wyatts, so we're probably going to get another match. And I really do hope this leads to a big match at some type of PLE and or a Saturday night's main event, because we haven't even seen the Wyatt 6 on any PLE or big show besides Raw. So I'm really hoping that this feud will continue and lead to a big match with some type of gimmick at a PLE. But what did you guys think? The Wyatt 6 eating their first loss? I was very surprised by it. And they cut backstage to a CM Punk sit-down interview film with Jackie Redmond, where he says some really interesting things about Seth Rollins. Punk does get asked about the favor for Paul Heyman, and he says that he doesn't want to talk about that favor that Heyman owes him, saying it's personal and that he doesn't shy away from a fight. But Seth Rollins' hatred is confusing him because he doesn't hate Seth at all. He says their history goes back quite a bit to a 16-year-old Rollins asking for him to train him for free, which is a key part of the story that everyone seems to be leaving out. CM Punk says Seth is just super entitled, and that carried all the way from 16-year-old Rollins to adult Rollins. He says that Seth wants to be the best in the world, but he remembers a time when he was about to be fired, and he shielded Seth from that. He said if he had to live in his shadows, that he would have hated him too. And everything Rollins has done, he did better and first. He said that now that the quarterback is back, it's time to go hit the bench. So this was a really good segment. We're obviously going back to Punk Seth for a match that we all believe was supposed to happen at WrestleMania, but due to Punk's injury, it didn't happen. Now, Punk is probably the best on the mic, even to this day. And man, was this promo just really good, just really digging in deep against Seth Rollins here. And we saw it really pissed off Seth Rollins, because we're going to talk about that, what he came out and said later in the night. But what a great interview from CM Punk, really getting me hyped for this matchup, which I was already way hyped for previous to the Drew McIntyre stuff for him and Seth. So I'm just getting even more hyped, and I'm super excited for this feud to continue with this great CM Punk interview. I just can't wait to talk to you guys more about what Seth had to say here in a moment. Now, this next match was unexpected, as it was unannounced previous to Raw, and they didn't talk about it until basically it happened. So Dakota Kai comes out, and I was like, oh wow, we got Dakota. I thought we were about to get the women's triple threat, opening tournament round, which Dakota had last week. So I was like, okay, she's gonna get a win. That's good. That's kind of a good news. They're gonna give her a big win after getting that singles or that triple threat win in the IC title tournament. Boy, did I not expect it to be Liv Morgan, who, if you know me, I am a Liv fan. Like, I am just, I love Liv. So I was so torn because I love Dakota Kai and I love Liv Morgan. So in my head, I was trying to play mental gymnastics on how Dakota cannot eat a loss here, while Liv could also look good going into her title match with Io this Saturday. And I was like, okay, this is just going to end in shenanigans, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, all that stuff. Well, it kind of had shenanigans in there, but it wasn't what I expected. Pure Fusion Collective, who have been feuding with Damage Control and Dakota Kai, end up coming out during the match to observe it. But eventually, it leads to some distractions, which helps Liv Morgan get the win with the Oblivion. So I was happy for Liv getting a win prior to her match with Io Sky this Saturday, but I was bummed it came at the expense of Dakota Kai, because Dakota Kai just won her opening round in the IC tournament. And it was just like, man, that's kind of, I get it. It's against your world champion for the women. And there was some, PFC getting involved outside, causing some issues. And I just wish it was done. I don't know. Give me, as much as I am happy for the new matchup. Like, we don't get a lot of new matchups, I feel like, on Raw. And I was happy that we got one. It just was like, man, they really could have chose someone else to lose to Liv. That could have been fine, that wouldn't have felt as negative as Dakota losing a singles match after winning an IC qualifying match. I don't know. It wasn't the biggest deal in the world because I love both women, so I mean, it was fine with either way if anyone winning. I just felt like none of these women should have taken a loss going into this tournament that's happening and with Liv taking on Io. That's just me. Good match overall. I was just bummed that that's what it was. But of course, that wasn't even all that happened here. Once the match was over, Pure Fusion Collective start jumping Dakota Kai. Out comes Damage Control to even the odds. Io and Kaidi, they run off Pure Fusion Collective and take them completely out. But of course, Io is taking on Liv, who just beat Dakota and came out there to help Dakota against Pure Fusion. Liv was still there, and she comes and hits an Oblivion on Io Sky before walking out with her World Heavyweight title. What a great way to build that match. So at least that was a great part, but I'm still a little torn on that last match. We then get a Drew McIntyre promo where he talks about his loss to CM Punk at Bad Blood and how he had to go be with his family afterwards, and he actually thought really long and hard on if he was wrong and that people can change. But then he turned on Survivor Series and saw Roman Reigns teaming up with Sami, Jay, and the original Bloodline and Punk, and he said, fuck that, I'm pissed off. So that's what led to him attacking Jay and Sami, was that he was mad that these people who claimed that if he was the problem and he's still seeing them as the problem. And I could see both sides of the coin here. Like, I could see where Drew's coming from. He totally actually went and self-reflected after his loss to Punk. Was like, damn, have I been wrong this whole time? But then he sees Jay and Sami back with the guy who treated him like ass in Roman Reigns. And he's like, nope, they're fucking idiots. So I totally see where Drew's going at here and why he got pissed. But does it mean he should have attacked them? No, but Drew has a little bit of a point here, people. That's all I'm saying. So we did go to commentary afterwards. They did say Jay is not cleared to compete, but it's obviously going to lead to something with Jay and Drew once again here in the near future. We go from a really great Drew promo to just feeling lots of anger immediately as we recap last week's New Day 10-year anniversary, where they seemingly were about to split. And then Big E comes out and he gives them the whole speech. I want to be your manager. I want to bring the camaraderie back together. And then they turned on him, man. They were just like, no, where have you? Where have you been? You broke your neck and then you just decided to go play analyst, go broadcast, but you don't want to be our partner. And he was like, nah, fam, that's not it. Anyways, that was last week. So we cut to the New Day walking into the arena and everyone's giving them the cold shoulder. Production, we see Alpha Academy give them the cold shoulder and Natalia even turns her back to them. Eventually they're walking by Adam Pearce's office where Cody Rhodes, WWE champion, SmackDown Zone, walks out of his office. Obviously we have the transfer window going on right now where people are going to be switching brands here in the near future. So obviously that's probably what he was talking to Pierce about. We see Cody immediately stop in his tracks when he sees Kofi and Woods, and he just tells them, man, they were in the wrong. They were in the wrong for what they did. And, New Day didn't like that. And of course, if you know the history of Cody and Xavier Woods, they went to rival high schools in the same city and they wrestled each other in high school. So they were very well aware of each other throughout most of their lives. And Woods made a nice comment about, man, if you known that guy in high school or something like that. It was really good. Just a really good quick backstage segment, obviously leading to a New Day promo. But before we could get to that New Day promo, Seth freaking Rollins comes out and he talks about CM Punk. Now, obviously earlier we had that CM Punk interview where he basically shat all over Seth Rollins, calling him the backup quarterback, the guy who only filled in when Punk stepped away, and now that he's back, Seth needs to go back to the bench. It was just a great promo. But Seth tells Punk that when his days are done in the ring, that he's got a career as a politician, and that interview as a masterclass in spinning the truth to play the victim, and that Punk has been doing that his entire life, which a lot of people will argue about. Seth said that he's a fraud, a con man, and if you want the truth about Punk, he's about to give it to you. Seth says that Punk was right. He did go to him when he was 16, ask him to train him for free, and that he did idolize and respected Punk, and they were friends. He says the part that CM Punk leaves out, and he will tell you why that changed, is when CM Punk walked out of the doors of the company 11 years ago, he called him and texted him because he was a friend and respected him, but he got no response back. So Seth is mad that he got ghosted. He got ghosted by CM Punk, and that's why he's mad all these years later. But what really puts the cherry on top for Seth, that really set him off on Punk, was that for the next 10 years, all he did was try to tear the company down in the media, in interviews. He took pot shots anytime he could. And the only reason that he walked back into the WWE is because he failed at everything else and burned every single bridge. Oh, and the money was right. Now, when Seth said this, boy, did I go, uh-oh, this is definitely going to lead to something crazy. Either Punk's about to come out right now and we're going to get some type of brawl, or this is just going to lead to an insane matchup down the road. Of course, we didn't see Punk come out at all during this segment, which I was kind of hoping for, I'm not going to lie. But we did see Sami Zayn, who battled Seth last Monday after these two had a big kerfluffle over the way Seth was acting. Now, Seth was obviously mad that Sami and Jay and them were going to him to try to team back up with Roman and them to take down the 2.0 bloodline, which he did not want to take any part of, and he didn't. Seth tells him if he came out here to defend Punk again, that they're fighting again because he doesn't have the time for it. Zayn says that last week they both got angry and said some things and fought. And that's bound to happen, and when you've known each other for as long as they have. He admits that it was wrong of him to assume that Seth dropped Jey Uso backstage, so he wanted to apologize for assuming he's the one who attacked Jey. Rollins admits that he's stuck in a crawl this past week. Given how close they are, he says their kids even play together. That Sami jumped right to accusing him doesn't sit right with him. Zayn says he didn't sound right last week. He sounded like the kind of guy who points fingers and thinks that he's the moral clarity around here. In other words, he sounded like Drew McIntyre. Not wrong, but Seth kind of has some points here. Eventually, it leads to both men forgiving each other for last week. Sami says he's going to stay out of anything Seth Punk, that it's none of his business what Seth thinks of Punk or does, to Punk, essentially. So Sami apologized, Seth accepted the apology, and they are friends again, which is pretty neat to see. There was no hugs, no handshakes. They both just said, hey, we good, we're good. And that was that. But after, Sami decided to stay in the ring and said he's not going to sit here and listen to Drew McIntyre week after week. Of course, Drew came out and attacked him last Monday. He said he's going to end this as quickly as it started, and he's already spoken to Pierce, and their match is official for Saturday night's main event, Sami versus Drew. Now, I'm super hyped for this match. I feel like we've had it a lot in the last year, but these two just don't disappoint when they go one-on-one. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. Do we see Jey Uso get involved at Saturday night's main event in this matchup, though? That is my biggest question to all y'all. Let me know down in the comments below. But before Sami could fully take in the crowd chanting for him to beat Drew this Saturday, Drew once again blindsided Sami as he was leaving the arena on the top of the stage, beating him down where all the road agents and refs had to come out and separate it. Now, again, a great segment that tied multiple stories together. This Raw is cooking. Fucking great Raw. We finally jump into our Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament first round match with Ivy Nile versus Lyra Valkyria and Zelina Vega. I was fine with anyone really winning this. I was really rooting for Zelina, but I was fine with the eventual winner in Lyra Valkyria. And this was a solid triple threat match, and Ivy Nile continues to impress me every week. While she may not be the most charismatic wrestler, I don't know why I said it that way, charismatic wrestler, but she has a great wrestling moveset. She's really solid in the ring. She actually is a good wrestler, and I really like that about Ivy Nile. While she has not really fascinated me on the mic or really anything storyline wise with her personally, her in-ring keeps me intrigued. I really like her, and she really continues to impress me, and I really hope eventually she gets her time to shine more so. But Lyra Valkyria, she is probably, in my opinion, the most solid worker out of all three when it comes to on the mic, in the ring, and just has the total package. And so I was 100% fine with her winning it, but a lot of people are going to tell you Zelina Vega, who's been putting in work this year, should have won that match. And I would have been fine with that as well. So again, I would have been fine with anyone winning this. I'm fine with Lyra Valkyria winning it. I would have been fine with Ivy or Zelina winning it. And I am happy for Lyra getting the win. And I thought this was a solid triple threat match. All three women played a decent part in it, and none of them looked bad. So I was really excited with this match, and I'm excited to see what happens next for Lyra Valkyria. So now we get the New Day. The New Day are backstage, and they're going to do an interview backstage, but they're like, no, this isn't how we're doing that. We're going to be doing this with the people face to face. So we're going out to that ring. And then Woods, who goes up to the cameraman, who is Stu, the guy who usually comes out with Cena and all that. And Cena usually says, what's up, Stu? All that type of stuff. He's the one filming this with his handheld camera. And Xavier's like, give me the camera. Takes the camera from Stu forcefully. And eventually they go out to the ring. They do the whole walk through gorilla with the camera. They get to the ring. Woods puts the camera down on the top of the steps. Kofi goes in, climbs into the ring. Woods bends down, stares at the camera. What did we do? As the crowd is mercifully booing them louder than I've ever heard, even louder than Dominic getting boos. Kofi Kingston comes into the ring. They have mics. He said he's upset the crowd is booing them after 10 years of positivity for one day. He claims that they didn't even do anything to Big E, that they could have even taken a sledgehammer to his back or even hit him with a steel chair, but they didn't. So they don't understand the reaction they were getting. They could barely even talk, honestly. They would try to talk, and if they didn't say it as fluid as that, they would like say 2 words and then they would just be drowned out with booze and they would just sit there and wait. It was fucking incredible. Wichita, you played your part and I fucking love you. Eventually, they just give up too. Woods tries to get some words and they just drop their mics and they walk out. They don't even finish trying to say what they're saying. This whole segment felt freaking amazing. It felt so incredible. It honestly felt like they were supposed to say more, but really just said, fuck it, we were running out of time, let's just leave, because that's really, I think, what it turned out to be. Like, they really were gonna say more. And I think the whole, oh, we could have beaten down Big E, so why are you mad that we didn't type thing was fucking perfect. As much as I'm a big New Day fan, I got the unicorn horn back here, it's a little flaccid right now due to what they've done to Big E, but I might be slowly liking this heel turn, like more as in like I'm for it, when last week I was against it. I still love Big E, but I liked last night. I really thought it was great. And if you didn't see this segment, go back and watch it right now. Pause this video, watch it, come back. And then our main event of Monday Night Raw, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, what turned out to be an anything goes match. Initially, they announced it as just a normal matchup, but then right as Raw was about to kick off, they switched it to an anything goes match, which, quick question, should an anything goes match make it mean that it's also falls count anywhere? Because that's not what they did last night. Of course, they could, use weapons. They could go out in the crowd. They could do whatever they want. Really, anyone could get involved. But how is an anything goes match not also a falls count anywhere on top of it? And also, another quick question. Why is there so many different names for, like, the same match? I know there's a few differences between some of these, so go ahead and tell me what those are in the comments, because I always forget. But you have anything goes, no DQ, no holds barred, freaking falls count anywhere, extreme rules. Like, what are the difference in these matches? They're essentially the same thing. I know falls count anywhere, you're gonna pin outside, but it's still no DQ, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to like no holds barred, anything goes, no DQ, extreme rules, those are all the same matches. Anyways, that's a whole separate thing. But this match ended up being a really good main event. We did get a lot of commercials during this Raw. That is the like biggest negative I took away from this Monday Night Raw, was just how many commercials we got, because we literally got a commercial like a minute and a half when we returned from commercial break. Came back from commercial, this match started, and then we went to commercial break. So that was my biggest takeaway from this Raw that was negative, was just commercial city. But this match ended up being really good anyways. Of course, no surprise to anyone, Liv Morgan, hi Liv, love ya, she got involved in the match, but it eventually led to Io Sky, who teamed up with Rhea at War Games to get involved in this match. Of course, she's taking on Liv this Saturday, so she ends up taking Liv out of the match, leading to Rhea Ripley getting the win over Raquel. And Liv and Raquel were beating the fuck out of Rhea during this match. Like, I honestly thought Raquel was about to win until Io came out. Like, that's how dominant, I mean, anything goes, so it's gonna be pretty dominant when you have someone helping you. That's how dominant that was for Raquel up until that point. Io makes a save, takes out Liv on the outside. It leads to Rhea hitting a riptide through the table on Raquel to get the win. And of course, Rhea and Liv is not done. I was saying earlier, I'm really ready for Rhea Liv to be over. Same with Finn Damian. I just want some new, essentially for that women's world title, I want some new blood. Now, obviously, in my prediction for Saturday is Io loses to Liv because Liv, but I don't know if that means we're just gonna get Rhea and Liv at the next Saturday night's main event, which they've announced for January, the week before the Rumble, or where it's gonna lead, because a lot of people are now speculating Rhea will probably beat Liv, and it could be Io versus Rhea, because we did end Raw with Rhea holding the women's world title, as well as Io each grabbed one side of the title and slowly lifted it up while they stared each other down. Now, it led to a lot of the IWC thinking that this is leading to a possible build-up for WrestleMania, Io Rhea. Now, I remember they did something like this, not really in the ring and holding a title, but they had like a few stare downs, like in 2022, like maybe 2 of them with Rhea and Bianca, and I think we were all saying the same thing. That's the eventual WrestleMania match at 39 or 40. I don't remember what year this happened, but I swear this was like all the talk when they would stare each other down. And we still haven't gotten a one-on-one from Rhea and Bianca. So if it does lead to Rhea and Io, let's go. I'm hyped for that. But I'm not putting my eggs in that basket for WrestleMania. Obviously, we're on that road. Our next pay-per-view, our PLE, is Royal Rumble. So that makes you wonder, is that the Mania main event? If that is the Mania main event, I'll be hyped for it. I just don't know after how they kind of built that up for Bianca and Rhea before, and then it led to nothing. So let me know down in the comments, is that going to be WrestleMania 41 matchup for the women's world title? Let me know. So Raw's been 2 hours for a while now, since the beginning of October, and I've really been a proponent, even before it went back to 2 hours, but 3 hours for a weekly wrestling show being too long. Now, I will still sit there during Raw when it moves to Netflix, when it's 3 hours, and watch the full thing. But I feel WWE has proven that they can make a 2-hour Raw still feel as amazing as a 3-hour Raw. Now, 3-hour Raws, again, there was many times under the Vince era where I just thought, man, this was 2 hours, cut out the bad shit that they're putting on. Great show you have. Great show. And now that we have it, there's a lot of things that are being left off. at least live. When it comes to backstage segments, we're seeing a lot of it uploaded to their YouTube or their Twitters for us to consume on social media. Like we've been seeing a lot of Braun Breaker segments, he's not even appearing on Raw sometimes, and his just segments are on their social media with Ludwig, which set up for a match next Monday against Ludwig for the IC title, which is cool. I love the utilization of social media, but some of this I do wish was on TV. So do I still want it to be 2 hours, even though there's things that are missing on the 2-hour Raw? Like we didn't get the IC Women's announcement like live. It was just, they ended up editing it down into like a 1-minute package instead of doing it live, and they filmed it before Raw, so it was on social media before even Raw aired. So that was a bummer because that was basically a spoiler. And people wrote in my chat, "Oh, Josh, did you see the IC title got unveiled?" And I try to stay off Twitter like within the last few hours before a show starts, and I totally missed that. I didn't see it, so it would have been a shock to me. It literally would have been a genuine surprise because I was off of social media before, Raw that day. Didn't know about it. Of course, IWC is going to talk about it, so I hold no anger towards anyone that came in my chat was like, "Hey, yeah, did you see this?" Really no way of stopping that. So it is a bummer that stuff like the IC Women's, thing wasn't live, and we're getting these backstage segments cut that are only aired on social media. So do I think that Raw should still be 2 hours compared to the 3 hours, which obviously it's going to be 3 hours when it moves to Netflix? I would still say and debate with people that it should be 2 hours. I feel that the last month or so, WWE has proven that they could put together a well put together show with great timings on everything. Nothing felt out of place for the most part. And there's a few weeks where things don't feel, oh, okay, whatever that was. But I feel the last month, they've been really solid. And yes, there's things I want on the 3-hour show, but I would still argue to this day that based off what WWE has produced the last month on Monday Night Raw, in my opinion, that they should stay 2 hours. And that's not going to happen. We already know that's not going to happen. There's tons of rumors and reports from actual, like Fightful and others saying that they'll probably go back to 3 hours once they move to Netflix, and SmackDown seemingly going to 3 hours, which I don't want, but it's going to happen, and they'll make the best out of it. I know WWE will, because they're really hot right now, and I think that they'll actually do, Triple H does 3 hours better than Vince does. That's just my opinion. So at the end of the day, I want it to stay 2 hours, but I know it's not, and I'll be fine with it going 3 hours, and I'll watch both Raw and SmackDown 3 hours. I just wish it would stay 2. And that's it. That's all my thoughts on Raw. My total overall score last night, I gave Raw a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good. Let me know what your rating for Raw was down below. And if you want more of these videos where I review the weekly shows after, like the day after, let me know. Instead of it doing like immediately after, where everyone's like immediate thoughts, give myself some time to sit on the show, think about everything that went down, and give some more thoughts, I feel like. So let me know if you like this. Let me know. Subscribe, like this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.